Ladies and gentlemen, Garage Composites is rocking the Dealer Evolution stage again. Here to show us how to keep and motivate our teams is Schoolie himself, Jordon Schoolmeester.
Thank you, mostly Sam. Thanks for being here, thanks for coming. I really appreciate the opportunity again to be back at AIMExpo. You guys just sat through Sam's presentation, most of you did. I'm excited to be back here, excited to see some familiar faces. I genuinely love coming to this expo, one, because of all the cool stuff we get to play at, but also because I get to see a lot of faces, new and old. So how many of you have seen me teach, present, or train somewhere before? You guys just make really, really crappy life decisions to keep coming back. Well, I want to talk to you a little bit about motivating your team. First, for those of you who don't know, I'm Jordon Schoolmeester, or I go by Schoolie, and I am a new partner at Garage Composites for over a year now. I've been working with GC for 10 years. It's been awesome. It's been a lot. I recently retired from a different career, and now I'm doing this full time. So happy to be here with all of you. Happy to be in front of you and talking to you about something that's important to me, is motivating your team. And the more important part to me is the actual team aspect. That's really what I enjoy, and really what I love to do about this industry and others is really the teamwork behind things. I really like talking about leadership, management, team building, and getting everybody on board. So that's what we're going to talk about. I want to get into this motivating your team thought that I had, and first I want to tell you where it started. So for me, and by the way, I think you saw by Sam's presentation, and you're about to learn again by mine, we're a pretty open and irreverent group, so by all means, throw a hand up, ask a question, rudely interrupt me, and we'll get right at it, okay? Please interrupt. It's getting harder these days. So this started with a general manager's training course that we put on, general manager's academy that we put on, and we'll see, oh, did you see that shot? High school athlete right there. What we started talking about is it's just different these days. It's harder these days. It's a lot different. The employees, the staff, the team, it's harder to get them bought in. It's harder to get them to have some passion. It's harder to get them to have the same drive that I have. It's harder to get them to fill in the blank. And I was hearing it from managers of departments, general managers, dealer owners, principals, you name it. I kept hearing it over and over and over again, and so I kept prompting and pushing back with questions. Tell me what you mean. Why is it different these days? And what are some of the answers that you thought I heard when I said, why is it different these days? What were they telling me? Probably a lot of you have already said this, so what are you now saying about it's harder these days to motivate our people? What were some of the answers that I got on why it's harder these days? Kids don't want to work as hard, right? What else? Come on, you've all said it inside your team and your dealership at some point. They're different these days. Kids don't want to work as hard. I can't figure out how to get them to care. They're not really bought in. They're not here for the right reasons. They just don't seem to give a shit. Fair? So over and over again, I kept asking these questions, and I kept asking what the difference is. What's the difference from then till now? What's the difference with you versus them? And that's when I really started to figure out where some of these differences are. So let's get into it. We need to first define motivation. So what is motivation? Because again, it's very different for all of us. But if we boil down the actual definition of motivation, the reason one has for acting or behaving in a particular way. The reason. What's your reason or what's your motivation, which would be your reason to do certain things. And then a general desire or a willingness to do something, okay? So in this definition, motivation sounds very simple. It does, but you see there at the bottom line, it's important to note that it's very personal. Because if I look at motivation from a very generic definition, it's just quite frankly the reason and the something. So what's your reason for doing something? Whether it's your reason to get up and go to the gym, okay? So I have to have a reason to get up and I have to have something to go do. Whether it's I'm going to the gym, whether I'm going to work that day, whether I'm going to go and pick up all the kids and bring them on a weekend. What is your reason for doing something? That's really what motivation is. So your reason might be different than your reason, might be different than your reason. Your something might be different than my something. So I want you to think about really boiling it down to what's the reason and what's the something that we want them to do. Everybody has a reason. We just need to make sure that we find their reason to do the something. You with me so far? What that really got me into is I started talking to a lot of leaders and managers about this motivational crisis that they were having and really the struggles behind I just can't get them bought in. I just can't get them to do the things I want. I just can't get them to care. And I was like, well, how are you doing it? And then I started to get into the real crux of the problem is that it's not one size fits all. For example, how many of you at some point in this awesome career have been told, just do it because I told you to? That shit works really well, doesn't it? Okay? Or, you know what, sir? Back in my day, we just did it this way, so why can't you? Oh, yeah, that really gives me a reason to do something. We try pay plans, we try incentives, we try carrots and sticks and motivation, but ultimately, you're doing it the way you want it to be done. You're trying to get them motivated with what motivates you, and that doesn't work because this is not a cookie cutter approach. Motivation truly varies from everybody. Stick with the gym example or stick with the diet example, okay? You may be on a diet because you believe that there's too many plastics and free radicals and organic versus non-organic and pasture-raised. You could have your own moral, ethical reason to be on a diet. Or you could just say, I just really had an awful holiday season and I need to shed about 5 pounds so I don't look like I'm walking Michelin Man. Your reasons are different. Your something is the same. So I want you to think about the reason or the motivation. It varies from person to person, and it always will. Even within the same team, even within the same group, you are going to have different motivations for different individuals. How many of you have all of your salespeople, parts people, service people on the same pay plan? Okay, how many of you have them or pay them the same spiffs, the same percentages? Some people are not motivated by that. How many of you in here are motivated by money? How many of you in here, same people, are frustrated because you don't understand why they won't sell more to make more money? That may not be it for them, okay? Everybody within the same team has different motivators. The last piece of this slide is leaders don't force motivation, they just create the environment. Okay? I cannot actually physiologically motivate you. I can't. I can beat you with a stick, but really that just motivates you to run, not do anything. I can incentivize you with carrots. I can give you all the pay plans, but if it's just not your motivation, it won't work. So as a leader, your job is to create the environment to motivate someone. Then when you have motivated people, then we have actually retention of people. So stick with me and I'll start giving you some tools. We'll get through how we do this. But I first want you to grab the concept of that. It's not one size fits all. Everybody needs it a little bit differently. I had an opportunity later in my fire service career and I got to retire off of Rescue Company 1, which does all technical rescue in the city and county of Denver. Those are 14 of the most alpha males you will have ever met in your life. Every single one of them was motivated differently. I had one that wanted to be the specialist. He wanted to be the teacher. He wanted to be the instructor. He wanted to be known as the person. I had another one that had a complete mindset around, I want the company to win. I don't want to be in any spotlight. What motivates me is making the company look good. I could not change their pay plans. That was up to the city and county of Denver. They paid them their contract. I had to find different ways to motivate each one of them to show up, to be on time, to run inventory, to run through buildings, to hang off of high-rise buildings on rope systems. I had to figure out ways to motivate them non-monetarily. That's what I want to start giving to you is finding out how do we determine how they are motivated, okay? Because it is very, very different. Would you agree? Okay. Why this is so important is that truthfully, our human advantage is the ability to collaborate. It sets us apart from any other species around. Sure, Primates will work together, they will find food together, they will clearly procreate together, all of those things. But ultimately, our human ability to collaborate is what really sets us apart. So that tying into the human collaboration is really what I want for you and your team. Because when you get your team firing on all cylinders, figuring out everybody to run at their maximum, that's when it gets fun. That's when you really have a team that runs through walls for you and does well for themselves, but also does well for the team. Our human advantage is we collaborate and work well together. That's really our super strength. That being said, there's always one more thing when I talk about motivation and I talk about getting your team on board, and there's one topic that always comes up. Sir, you brought it up earlier and you didn't even really recognize that you're bringing it up. I want you to think about the number one difference in all the motivation. What do you think it is? What's the number one difference in the workforce and motivation? It's generations. This is the common theme I keep hearing over and over again. Kids these days, or oh, this old timer doesn't get it, or I can't get Sam to use any technology. That's actually true. I want you to think about generationally, we are different. Would you agree? I would be amiss if we didn't talk about generations, the differences, and some of the motivations. So I'm going to spend a little bit of time going through this generational piece, and I'm going to show you some probably not shocking information, but then also some realization on the next slide. So, how are they different? Now, I'm not going to make you stick your hand up with whatever bucket you live in, because it's called age discrimination, I guess is what they call that these days. But I want you to think about every single one of these, because I'll bet within your dealership you have every single one of these generations. Would you agree? Yeah? How many of you have been told you're acting like this generation and you actually feel resentful about it? Yeah, most of us are millennials that feel that way, but I'm right on the cusp, okay, of Gen X and millennial. I want you to think about, if we put people into buckets, it's just not right, just not fair, for a multitude of reasons. But when you put someone in a generational bucket, you're assuming they're going to act like this. You're assuming that this is how they want to be treated, or these are the problems that they have. I want you to look at how they differ, because, spoiler alert, we're going to talk about how they're the same. So you look at traditionalists or boomers, value loyalty, structural, formal recognition. Are those different motivators by generation? Yeah, they are. So I want you to think about who's on your team. And what is it that they need, even by generational difference? Gen X values independence and work-life balance. I still have no idea what this is. I've researched that till I'm blue in the face. If anybody figures out that bullshit, let me know. But work-life balance, I completely disagree. However, you move into millennials, values purpose, collaboration, and growth. Yeah, that sounds like an awful generation. Gen Z, flexibility, technology, inclusivity, and quick communication. Look, these are the things as a generalization that some of these generations live by. Now, if you think about all the people on your team, and I got an exercise for you here in a little bit that I need you to go home and do. When you think about all the people on your team, they're all a little different, generational or not. I'm saying you need to recognize where they are, but maybe they don't fit in that box. Understand your team and understand some generations. Here's the kicker. There are consistent similarities across all generations. So if we can fire on those, if we can actually pour some gas on these similarities, then we also get some generational inclusion. We get them to work together. We get them to strive forward because we motivate them the way they want to be motivated. Every single one of these generations that I said on this slide here before, all believe that they want to feel valued and appreciated, okay? Making someone feel valued and appreciated. Can you do that as a leader? Yeah, absolutely you can. They want to do meaningful work. Now, I know what meaningful work means to me, but I want you to think about, what does meaningful work mean to you? Is it getting someone their retirement motorcycle? Is it getting that family out on that boat? Is it helping a family ride on the weekends again? Is it getting a new family into riding? What's meaningful? In the business office, is it legitimately selling them things that help protect them and their bike? That's meaningful. Is it helping the dealership hit a new world record in the store, right? I want you to think about what's meaningful mean to you and to them. Stability and security. Can you offer that? How many of you in here are owners? Put your hands up. How many are general managers? Any sales managers in here? And the rest of you just wear every damn hat in the dealership. True? Fair. I want you to think about you have the ability to provide stability and security. If you're managing your business properly, then that business will be here next month, next quarter, next year, next 3, next 5. So your job is to give them stability. You have the ability to do that and give them security in work. Growth and development. Can you provide that for an employee? Growth? Yeah. Educational opportunities, books, investing in them, certifications. You can offer that growth to them and development as well. This last one, I'm almost embarrassed that it has to be up there. But every single one of those generations and every single person in this bucket of our clowns in this circus, they truthfully value good, honest leadership. I talk a lot about your leadership credit score. I get the opportunity to travel around to a lot of different dealerships, work with a lot of different OEMs, but most of what I do is I run our managers training academies, and then I also moderate some groups. And I talk often about your leadership credit score. Are you a get-me-done leader? Like your credit score is crap, just see if you can get me bought? Or are you actually in here for the long haul with some high credit scores because you show up, because you provide stability, you provide security? What are you doing for all these generations with your good, honest leadership? That's really what it boils down to, because you can provide all of these things for all of those generations. And focus on what similarities they have versus what differences they have. Now let's start talking to the types of motivation and how we're going to actually develop this out, okay? You have 2 buckets of motivation, or 2 main types. You have the intrinsic or internal, and then you have the extrinsic or external. I'm going to start externally because I have a feeling this is way more what we're familiar with, okay? You talk about external motivations for an individual. Some people are driven by money. Recognition, that would be celebrating their wins, that would be taking them out in front of the sales team, taking them out for dinner, employee of the month, salesperson of the month, that kind of stuff. That's that recognition piece. Competition. How many of you in here are competitive? Yeah. The rest of you are like, I'm not going to let them know that I'm competitive, but I'm going to competitively not raise my hand right now. I want you to think about this competition piece is huge in this industry. It's also huge in sales. We are competitive in nature. We like to win. We like to race. All humans are competitive. It's just what they choose to be competitive in. There are things that I'll be happy to lose to you. I could care less about X, Y, Z. There are other things, if you want to go race dirt bikes, shoot guns, fly fish, do anything of that, we're going to have a competition. I'm truly competitive, not even just to win, I just love to compete. Next, you have career advancement. This is that person that's driven by the title, the chair, the responsibility. They want to move up. It's a status thing for them, and that motivates them to be the guy, to be the girl, to be the one who has the corner office, if you will. Those external motivators of being recognized and having some career achievement. Security is also in this external piece. People want to feel safe and secure. This is a little bit of being the provider. I want to be the one who brings the meat to the table. I don't want to be the one that pays for the mortgage. I want to be the provider because I like to provide security. Okay? These are external motivators, meaning you can see them on the outside. I'm willing to bet that most of what we do in the power sports industry that I've been involved in, we talk about how are we motivating people, right? It's scoreboards, which I preach all the time. Scoreboards. It's pay plans. It's career advancement. It's don't you want to be a manager someday? Over and over and over again, this industry really lives and drives off these external motivators. Would you agree or disagree? Agree? Internal. Mostly because us dudes are so good at our emotions. We really know, and we have some emotional maturity, us men. Most of it on this left-hand side are the external side we just have a harder time getting to the root of. I would argue that a lot of these internal motivators are actually stronger than some of these external or I don't want to say peripheral, but some of these other things that we keep trying to drive people towards. These internal ones, they really drive people to want to do this for you, to have some motivation that is truly team-driven and for their own internal health. Purpose. Everybody has to and wants to find a purpose of some sort. Even if your purpose is to be able to afford the next video game and beanbag and stay home all weekend, that's still a purpose of sorts, right? Not a purpose I'm into. I don't sit still well, as you can tell, but I want you to think about some of this purpose behind people want to make a difference. They really do. When you make someone happy, it makes you happy. When you make someone else successful, you feel successful. Purpose really drives a lot of us. How many of you think you could probably go to some different industry, different job, probably work less and make more money? I ask that question all the time, and yet you still keep coming back. Because you have some purpose and you have some passion around it, which is a later bullet point. Mastery. This is the person that really, really wants to be good at something. They want to perfect it. They want to be known for it. Oh, you're the guy that tunes carburetors. Oh, you're the guy that rebuilds suspension. Oh, you're the girl that knows exactly how to run all the documents in this dealership. You're the girl that knows how to clear the double. You're the girl that knows how to do X. Like whatever it is, I want you to think about this mastery really drives people. They love being the one with the answers, which is really close to the next one of autonomy, okay? Autonomy, and I'm putting these up because as we get into the next couple of steps of how do we determine motivation, I want you to be able to figure out which bullet point of motivation really drives that individual, okay? So we have autonomy and then we have curiosity. How many of you really try to learn or like to learn something new? How many of you new things scare you? Different motivators, right? I want to be curious. I want to go learn. I want to be challenged. I want to find something new. I really, really think this curiosity one is underplayed and we don't recognize it enough. I want to try out a new process. I want to try out a new system. I want to try a new parts organizing catalog. I want to try XYZ. This curiosity can really motivate people to make a difference. Next one is passion. This is pretty self-explanatory, but a lot of us got in this industry because we love the toys. Would you agree? We love to ride, we love to play, we love to spend time with our family. We are passionate about it. That is why you keep coming back and making less money, working more hours like what we talked about earlier, because you're passionate about the industry and you're passionate about the people. This passion piece is also, for me, it's passion about the team. I have love and care for the team, and so I will do more for you. It motivates me to show up. I have a passion around showing up for people. That's what drives me. The other one is helping others. These are the bottom two are honest motivators for myself. Maybe that's why I selfishly put them up there. But I want you to think about it as like helping others do well, helping others win, helping others succeed. Think about my two career choices. For 22 years, I was a professional fireman, and now for almost 10 years, I'm a professional consultant trainer to help dealers and dealerships and people in those dealerships do better. That's what drives me and motivates me, is to help everybody around. So looking at these two types of motivation, I want you to think about, again, if you go to info@garagecomposites.com, I'll email you this whole slide. Take all the pictures you want, but I'll make sure you get it. That way when you go through this, you can actually figure out what motivators are on your team and in your teammates. That's the point of this slide. So, first and foremost, I need you to recognize that we need to make it personal. Doesn't mean we can't have team goals. Doesn't mean we can't have team accomplishments for the month. We can't set tasks for that, but everyone's motivated differently. They really are, and a lot of us are motivated differently in this room, your own team. I'll be willing to bet that your motivation even differs by department. I want you to think about what motivates the service team. Getting rid of ROs, not having comebacks, and not having been yelled at today. That's it. Sales team, we're going to take over the world, sell everything, give me more monsters. Different circuses within your same tent. So I want you to think about everybody in your team is motivated differently. It's really, really important. Next one is I want you to think about learning each individual's drivers. This is the challenging part, and we're going to get into it here in this slide, but this is the seemingly hard part, but it's not that hard if you just start asking the questions. And then when you're making it personal, I want you to connect their work to their motivation. Really understand that if you want to be the guy that's known for this, you want to be the one who's known for setting up suspensions the best, then I'm going to praise you and make sure that everyone knows this is Tommy. He's our suspension tech. Tommy builds the best suspensions for all the motocross team here. That's going to blow him up. Hey, Tommy, I need you to do X, Y, Z for all the suspension teams, all the motocross teams, all the hard enduro teams. Giving him that opportunity to be the person, to have some autonomy, will motivate him to make sure that every single part of suspension work comes out of there is top level suspension. So getting to key into what motivates them will help you drive them to do that something that you want. So here's the seemingly complicated, but I am telling you it can be so simple. I just want you to better ask questions when things go right. You can also ask it when things go wrong, okay? And it starts very simply. Whenever it happens, okay, let's say that we close the right deals, we hit our goal for the month, the service team makes some crazy diag and they get it right, and they ride off into the sunset happy customers. Whenever it happens and you see that employee light up, how many of you have seen that in the last month? Like an employee actually hit something, they lit up, and you got to see it for a second. You're like, ooh, hell yeah. They just got excited. They just got motivated. Their light bulb just went off. I want you to take the time to pull them aside. And I just want you to start asking some open-ended questions. Hey, I saw you got that done. I saw you hit the goal for the month. I saw you were able to get that family out on the water. You were able to get that family back out riding in Moab. How did that feel? Oh, it just felt great. They got to come in and rely on me, and I got to be their person, and I got to take care of them. And even though I'm stuck here today working, I know they're out riding and having a great time. It made me feel awesome. That's awesome. Why is that so important to you? Well, I really get a sense of accomplishment in my job when I get to make somebody's weekend, when I get to save the day. That's important to me, to save the day, get them out riding for the weekend. I love that. I want you then to say, well, how do you think that affects the customer? Customer, they left happy, they high-fived me, they told me they would send all their friends over here. Do you think that helps the customer out, that they had a great weekend? It does. It really makes it fun for me to make sure that, and you can see where I'm going with this. I want you to take the time to ask that team member these questions. How did it make you feel? Why is that important to you? How does that help the team? How does that help the customer? What I'm doing is finding out what drives them, what makes them happy, what makes them feel like they won. And then I want to connect that work, and I want to connect that motivation to the team and to the work that we're doing. Once I start figuring out your motivation and I can start connecting it to the thing, remember, the reason and the something, when I connect it to the something, that's when we start firing on all cylinders. Questions on these questions before I move on. It seems very simple because it is very simple. I need you to sit down with them and figure out what connects why they do things to the end goal or the something that you want. I want to figure out what drives them, and I want to connect it to what they're actually doing. This connection piece is really where you start to connect the dots for them of this is how what you're doing affects the team. This is how what you're doing affects the customer. It affects the dealership. It affects your own pocketbook. If they are money motivated, I'm simply going to tell them, if you close this many deals, you get this many dollars. Look, you actually answered all your digital leads like I asked you to, and you rolled 10 units this week, and you made this much money. I'm connecting their motivation, money, to the action items that I want to get the result we both want. Now you just helped us hit our monthly goal because you took some ownership in answering your leads. So really connecting to a mission and connecting to the team with their motivation or their reason helps us get the something done. Follow me? A couple other things I want to give you as tools to help with their motivation. In the earlier slides, we talked about generations. We were talking about growth. People want security. People want safety. People want growth. They want value. How many of you, when you first started in this opportunity, you were given a career path? Yeah, exactly. None of you. You're like, don't care. Just do that. We'll talk about that when it comes up. Keep working. Oh, and by the way, pick that up. Right? That's how we started, and we basically got told what to do. We weren't given a career path. This was before COVID, so I know it's a little bit older of a study, but before COVID, in the top 3 reasons people left their job, no career path. Not saying I needed to have it, but I needed to be shown it. There is an ability to move up in this industry. There is an ability to move up in Schooley's power sports. How many of you started off as a wash tech? Lot boy, lot girl, parts employee, sales employee, technician, service advisor, service manager. You get my point. We do not do a good job of showing them a career path, showing them there's an opportunity for growth. So giving them opportunities to learn. I want you to think about, there are so many opportunities out there. Obviously, I would be fool if I didn't stand here and say Garage Composites has a ton of training opportunities. But honestly, there are so many out there. There's books, there's YouTubes, there's other subscriptions you can get into. There are so many opportunities to learn. Push them. Get them to learn, get them to better themselves because you are investing in them and they know it and feel it. Skill development. I want you to give them some opportunities to develop their skills, whether it's technicians, whether it's you send them to a sales course, sales team, sales manager, whether you send them to something. Give them the opportunity to have some skill development. We used to, in the fire service, we would call it acting up, not acting out. That's what they do in Detroit. But I want you to think about, so easy. I just make sure you're paying attention. I just want you to think about, we would act up. So what I would do is that in every fire truck, there's a driver, there's an officer, and there's 2 firefighters in the back. Every Thursday we worked, one of my firefighters in the back was officer for the day. And I got to go be a firefighter in the back. It was the best day of the week. It was awesome. 0 concerns, just breaking stuff, running into houses, and letting the officer clean it up. But what that gave them is that gave them skills. It gave them an opportunity to grow. It gave them an opportunity to learn and challenge them outside. Now, I'm not saying you got to let them be owners for a day or even GMs for a day. But let them close a few more deals. Let them call a few more people. Let them sit in a meeting with an OEM rep. Move them up in a way that they get some opportunities to learn and some skill development. Because then they start to see some future career paths. They start to understand there's more to this if I want this. Providing growth is a massive opportunity for you to help motivate your team. This also is a massive part of retention. Giving them the skills, giving them the growth is a massive opportunity to have better retention because they have a reason to stay. Praise with purpose. I really hope you can just stop saying, hey, good job. Hey, you knocked that out of the park. Hey, thanks. Yep, great, cool. How many people, if I told you right now, hey, you did a fantastic job, would go, yeah, thanks. Some of you are not motivated, especially Jay Davis in the back, who you can beat him with sticks hard enough to motivate him. I want you to think about when you are trying to praise someone for something, it needs to be specific. So I want you to boil it down so that it feels more sincere. It feels more genuine and it feels more poignant to you. It's not just, hey, thanks for showing up today. You got out of bed, put some clothes on. Good job. I want you to think about being specific. So you need to recognize what it was they actually did. The actual act, the thing, the goal, the item. Really recognize it specifically. Needs to be poignant of what just happened. It's when you praise to the point that it really starts to work. Next thing I do is I want you to tell them why it mattered, okay? What they did and then why it mattered. That family got their weekend back. You help us hit our monthly goal. You were able to get the semi unloaded. We all got to go home on time. Whatever it is, I want you to recognize what the actual action was and why it mattered. And then I want you to tie in who it impacts. Sometimes we don't understand the ramifications or the depth and breadth of our actions. We just do it because we think that's our job. You don't realize that you just made that person's summer. You don't realize that because you called the bank back twice and really worked, you're going to help this kid fix his credit. You might have to send some reminders throughout the month to make sure he makes his payments. But I want you to think about, we get to have that kind of impact, and I need you to really stress to them this piece of praising with purpose, okay? What they did specifically, why it mattered, and then who it impacted. Do you guys think you can get better at praising? Okay? Here's the cool part. Most of this is free. Just be a better human. That's all it costs you to do. Just be better. Okay? But I want you to think about making sure you are intentional and praising with purpose. This will light some people up. Some people, it will not. But that goes back to every piece of motivation is not cookie cutter. It's specific to the individual. You are going to have some people that need sunshine and rain, and they need all the growth opportunities possible. You got to tell them every day, you can do it, little Daisy, get up there and grow. And other people, you need to find the other motivators, whether it's internal or external. Okay? So providing growth and praise with purpose. Next one I want to do is setting people up to win. Okay? The rules of the game need to be very, very clear to win. You heard Sam talk earlier about what game are you playing? Well, if your staff doesn't know what game they're playing, how the hell are they going to win? If you're changing the target so frequently, they don't know how to win. So I want you to think about being very, very crystal clear on your expectations. Expectations of timeliness, expectations of uniform, expectations of driving for goals, completions of ROs. I want you to think about being very clear with your expectations so that they win, so that they know the rules to the game. The other thing is showing them that they are a big part of a big picture. Everybody plays a vital role in your dealership. I can't service bikes we don't sell. And if you don't service properly, we won't sell another bike. They'll go down the road. And if you're not outfitting me with every single parts and accessory piece of awesomeness, I'll go to whatever.com and I'll just go there. Everybody in that dealership, from controller to broom operator to manager, plays a very important part. And I think we don't do a good job in this industry of telling them how crucial your piece of the puzzle is, how crucial your piece of the pie is. Sometimes we run around in fear hoping they don't quit because it's going to screw us up for the month. Tell them, I need you here. Tell them you are an important part. You need to be driven off of that. Whether it's the autonomy, whether it's the expertise they want, whether it's the buy-in or the passion, the purpose to be on a team, whatever it is, that hits for everybody. And then we already talked earlier about aligning their personal motivators with the team goals. I want you to figure out what motivates them and what drives them. The easiest way, again, ask them. Ask them by open-ended questions to get to the bottom of what really drives them to do the things they do. And lastly, I need you to celebrate the progress. I have had the opportunity to see a ton of wild and crazy, awesome ideas. I had a general manager said, if your department hits their goals, I will hand wash every one of your vehicles. Guess what they got to also pick out? The outfit he did it in. He's a big boy, and those were some small clothes, and I'll leave it at that. He hand washed them. Of course, what do you think the entire service team did the day before that wash? They went mudding. It was awesome. I want you to think of some outside-the-box things to celebrate progress. We can pay them, we can give them all sort of incentives, but let's get creative. Is it the employee parking spot that you get that month is your spot? Is it some sort of financial reward? What is it that we're celebrating the progress with? Get creative. If you guys want more ideas, hit me up and I'll give you a ton of different ideas on different ways to celebrate. It could be as simple as public recognition. It could be pizza at lunch. It could be whatever you want it to be. But we need to make sure we are celebrating the progress because that motivates people. Motivates people to do for you and for the team. This retention piece, I think, is pretty self-explanatory for most of us, that if we had a great time, if we're feeling like we have purpose, if we're feeling valued, if we have some safety and security, then we have some reason to stay. Having a purpose is fundamental for every human being. Again, it could just be video games and a beanbag, but if that's your purpose, that's your purpose. Everybody as a human has a purpose. We just need to make sure we find it. Because when you have a purpose and I get to actually do my purpose at your dealership, then I want to stay there. That makes me happy. It fulfills me. The other thing is valued. That's the other one that people leave their place of employment because they just don't flat out feel valued. What I'm doing here doesn't matter. It could not matter to the world, to the community, or to just the team. But if what you're doing isn't valued or doesn't have a purpose to it, you're not going to stay around. I want to feel valued, like what I do here matters. Remember earlier I told you that you determining and giving them a sense of value is crucial. You have the ability to do that. Passion. We talked about passion as one of the motivators, but this is what makes people stay in this industry. I asked you, because I think Sam and I have asked this question 1,000 times over, if you could go somewhere else for a different job, work less, make more money, raise your hand, and without fail, the majority always raises their hand. Yet you're still here because you're passionate about it. So my passion piece is make sure your team's riding. Make sure they're playing on the cool shit we sell. Make sure they're enjoying it, because sometimes Tuesday to Saturday, 12-hour days gets a little bit old. Can we agree to that? So make sure that we are having lunch rides. Make sure if you win the contest, you get to take one demo bike, as long as you have your license, wear a helmet, and sign the waiver and get insurance. But I want you to think about, like, what are we doing to fuel that passion inside this industry? How are we keeping their passion so they want to stay in this industry and in our team? You also then get some buy-in. That buy-in is for that greater goal we talked about, how their piece of the pie really helps make the complete pie. This buy-in through motivation really helps with your retention. Getting them bought in because now they have a purpose, they're valued, and they actually want to do well for you and for the team. Wanting to do well is way more, is way better for your retention, because there's just way more buy-in. They want to perform, they want to provide for you because it's important, and this all gives them a reason to stay. Retention through motivation is really important. Anybody know where that picture's from? You could say the internet and you'd be right, but where's that picture from? Anybody? I can't hear all your right answers over all the scuttle out here, but that's actually from Ernest Shackleton. Anybody know Ernest Shackleton? The book, The Endurance. You guys really should read the book, The Endurance. He tried a trans-Antarctica journey across the South Pole. 28 people on that boat. They did it in over a year. They went through the most treacherous seas. Their ship got ice locked and broke, and they ended up moving all their food and small boats across Antarctica by hand. 28 people started, 28 people finished. They tried to recreate that expedition in the late 90s, and people with all the technology, all the tools, all the science failed. They did it in moccasins and down. Before down, all they had was wool. I want you to think about this reason for them was to, one, be known as the first team that ever did it. They wanted to go down in history. There was zero money involved. They weren't paid. I think there's probably some motivation in there to not die. I think that's definitely a piece of the motivation. But think about when they're all bought in and moving in the same direction. Every single one of them has a purpose. They're all valued because everybody's pulling the same way. They have a passion and they want to buy in. It gives them a reason to stay, hence your retention. Questions on that? Here's the big idea. right? We talked about this earlier, is that what sets humans apart, it's our ability to collaborate. So humans want to belong. It's in our DNA, it's in our nature to find our tribes, to find our people, and find a purpose within that team or tribe. They want to be a part of a team. We just need to figure out what drives them, and then we need to figure out how to put that to a purpose. Tying what drives them and what puts you to a purpose is the most important part. Making sure we connect those dots of what makes you do the things you do and making those things that you're doing important to me and the team goal. Ask them the questions and figure out their motivation. This is the big idea. Motivation isn't created, it's cultivated. You create the environment by finding out what motivates them, and then how do we tie that to the big goal or the big idea. Closing. I really, as you guys have seen me speak before or see me now, is that I truthfully dig team operations. It's what I love doing. I do like doing some stuff by myself. I'll disappear in the woods for a while, but I truthfully love teams. I love when teams fire on all cylinders. I love different teams. If you look at our team in Garage Composites, we are different. Every single one of us. Sam Dantzler, Jolene Kryjon, Tony Gonzalez, Glo Chufi, every single one of us is driven differently, have different motivators, but we all want the same end result. How we go about it is extremely different. Everybody starts firing on their motivation to hit their goal. That's when teams get fun. That's when teams truthfully unite and they truthfully put awesome production together. So I want you to think about, determine their motivation, ask them the questions, provide some growth, make that place that people want to work, and make sure we are praising properly. We good? Yeah, I feel like I went through 1,000,000 miles a minute. I want you to think about this slide. If you go to info, do you guys need me to spell info? You got it? info@garagecomposites.com. We will get you this slide deck, Sam's, Jolene's tomorrow. Make sure you come to her session. We will get you all of these slides. Here's my personal information. Please don't put it on the bathroom wall. It's not funny anymore. I want you to think about how you can determine their motivation and find what drives them to get your end goal. All right, everybody, I really appreciate your time. Make sure you get out and see the whole expo floor. Thank you.